Hello, and thank you for joining me today at Data Nova. My name is Zachary Friedman, and I'm on the product team at Immuta. And today, I have the pleasure of speaking with you about governance and protection of data in the data mesh, and showing you how Starburst and Immuta together allows you to implement federated computational governance, distributing setting of access control policies to the individuals who know the data the best. You can follow me on Twitter or send me an email with any questions about Immuta or how we work together with Starburst. And additionally, I'm happy to answer questions in the chat. So let me set the groundwork first for what Immuta is at a high level. Immuta is a data security authorization platform for cloud-native analytical tools. So what does that mean? Immuta provides to users a framework for building data authorization policies in data warehouses, data lakes, data lakehouses, and in query engines such as Trino. Users can set policies on the semantic representation of your data, not on the physical layer, like on a specific column in a specific table, which results in, on average, having to write 75 times fewer data access control policies to accomplish the same internal or external regulatory requirement. Policies are able to be written both in plain English as well as code, so policies can be administered not only by software engineers who can write advanced SQL, but at the same time, they can also be provisioned as part of a traditional software development lifecycle with code review and policy promotion controls. Finally, policy administration is completely distributable in Immuta. So because policy administration is able to be distributed, this is the key enabling feature for how Immuta, along with Starburst, enhances and allows for domain owners to own policy setting in data mesh. Now, we all know from the data mesh book that one of the 4 central concepts of data mesh is federated computational governance. Data mesh is all about the shift from centralized data teams and centralized architectures towards a more decentralized model. This gets particularly interesting when thinking about what governance functionality remains under the purview of the central IT organization and what is now the responsibility of the individual members of individual data domains. When shifting out responsibilities for data access controls to data domain owners, one of the roles of central IT is to provide the underlying infrastructure for domain owners to set appropriate access control policies while allowing the domain itself, who knows the data the best, to actually determine and implement policies which control who can access what data. Immuta provides a framework where the central group can provision a policy engine that the domain can use to ensure security, that the right people are authorized to use the data that the domain owns. We allow fine-grained access policies to be set, which go beyond simply whether a user can query a table or not. We allow individual rows to be redacted and specific columns to be masked, and we support the largest variety of masking types in the market. All of this is done at query time, transparently to the end user, and is based on the attributes of both the individual users running an analytical query, as well as attributes of the data represented by particular data cells in question. Now, Immuta's product is all about promoting simplicity and automation. If you look at the screen on the left, you see what writing fine-grained policies without a platform like Immuta is like. It is complex, and it falls under the remit of individuals who know how to write advanced SQL by way of necessity. In order to do advanced row redaction and column masking without a higher level policy abstraction, SQL is the only tool available to organizations to accomplish fine-grained policy controls. With Immuta's plain English policy builder, which you see on the right, a few key enablers become available to you. Number one, writing policies at the semantic layer, for instance, mask all data tagged sensitive, for instance, reduces significantly the number of policies needing to be written when compared to writing individual policies at the individual column level. Also, with a higher level policy abstraction, you unlock an important benefit, which is even further augmented in Starburst by way of it being a federated query engine, and that is write once, enforce everywhere. So how specifically does Immuta enhance data mesh? Immuta's product first democratizes access to who is able to administer and set data access control policies. The product allows the shifting of this capability to folks who are not required to know how to write SQL, but who understand the data under their purview the best. There's a further shift unlocked, not only from centralized to decentralized, but also from solely deeply technical users to business users as well. Also, we're able to apply policies on all Starburst tables transparently without any change management, meaning there are no updates required to BI tools or any downstream tools if you're already an existing Starburst enterprise customer. Additionally, Immuta ships pre-installed on Starburst Enterprise. You just set one configuration file and all data is protected according to Immuta policies. Finally, we're able to enforce policies on Starburst data products as well, which is a feature purpose-built for data mesh. Now, I'd like to transition to discussing specifics in terms of a hypothetical customer who might use Starburst and Immuta to enable data mesh. Now, while this is a fictionalized example, it is an amalgamation of real use cases from real joint customers. So imagine that you're a global bank with multiple business units. You've been around for over 100 years and have invested deeply in data technology for decades. We're going to address the situation pre-data mesh and post-data mesh with Immuta and Starburst, including discussing how Starburst enables partial, gradual cloud migration while still allowing central IT to provide an access controls framework to the organization with Immuta. We'll wrap up by discussing how universal audit logging inside of the shared data access controls framework reduces risk, saves time, saves money, while promoting data security accuracy and distribution of responsibilities to individuals most knowledgeable about the individual data that they own. So, laying the groundwork, as a member of this central IT organization in this multinational bank, remember, you've invested heavily in every major wave of data management technologies for decades. This means that perhaps you have trade settlement data stored in Netezza, market data you purchased from FactSet or Refinitiv stored in S3, fact and dimension tables representing various business operations that have historically lived in Teradata, and on top of all of this, you're in the process of migrating to cloud-native data platforms such as Snowflake or Starburst, so various business units have data stored in Redshift and Snowflake. So, responsibility for ensuring that all of that data is being used securely and that privacy is being protected between customers, counterparties, and employees cannot all live exclusively within the remit of a single centralized technology group. This is one of the fundamental org design and technology patterns we're trying to unlock with data mesh. So while a central team can set the standards and enable the business units to follow them, the execution of each aspect of ensuring secure use of data has to live partially with the teams that know the domain of the data best. One approach would be to form a team per data platform within the central technology organization. This team would have to develop expertise and enable the rest of the firm to use the data platform they are responsible for securely, providing platform services with data governance as one of the major features on top. We've certainly seen this org design work successfully at our customers, which include top 3 banks in the United States and Europe, and 4 of the top 10 major pharmaceuticals. But as we're seeing in our customer base, data mesh provides us an additional perspective to think about how we both design our orgs responsible for data, as well as how we think about which technologies can help us work the way that we would like our teams to work. So speaking about the architecture driving data mesh adoption, one main question to answer in a heterogeneous data platform environment like the one described earlier is that we have 2 ways we can choose to consume data. One, we can funnel all consumption into a single query engine. We can ETL or move all the data from other data platforms into the chosen consumption platform, and we can deal with protecting data at both the individual source data platform level as well as at the data platform chosen for analytical consumption. So in this case, if we want to join trade settlement data to market reference data, then we move the data from where it lives to the consumption platform, to the analytical platform, and we join it all in the consumption platform, and we secure it there as well. Alternatively, with Starburst, we're able to leave the data where it lives, both on-prem and in the cloud, and we can consume the data in place with a universal query engine, and we can secure the data on that query engine using a universal data security platform. And this is exactly what Starburst and Immuta have worked together for years to build. This is exactly what our integration is designed to allow you to do. This is especially helpful for a common use case we find in many customers, where the goal is to move fact and dimension tables out of legacy on-prem data platforms into cloud-native platforms like Snowflake or Starburst. This allows you to leave data inside of a platform like Teradata, expose read access to a service principal that Starburst can use to connect to that platform, and turn off individual user access to the platform for consumption. Systems that still write data to the legacy platform can continue to do so without change or without a major re-architecture of business-critical write-heavy systems. But now you have dramatically decreased your compliance surface area by removing individual user access to legacy on-prem data platforms for users running interactive analytical queries. By funneling interactive query consumption to Starburst and by protecting it using Immuta, you've reduced the burden on your compliance teams by an entire data platform. And you're able to both manage and audit access controls using a modern data security platform, as opposed to using manual error-prone methods. So to wrap up, Immuta allows you to ensure that data is accessed securely in a manner that preserves user privacy and gives you auditability of all data access to all data platform connectors supported by Starburst and Trino when you access the data using Starburst Enterprise. We do this in a way that is fully transparent to the end user, meaning that once you configure our integration, which again ships pre-installed with Starburst Enterprise, the consumer of the data in Starburst sees absolutely no difference in their user experience, with the exception that their access to data is perfectly right-sized according to internal or external regulatory requirements and determined based on an Immuta admin user setting an attribute-based access control policy on data connected to Starburst. All of the data that users do access in Starburst is part of a complete and comprehensive audit log available to users in Immuta who have privileges to view the organization's universal audit log. And that is how Immuta and Starburst work together to enable federated computational governance to be implemented in a data mesh. Thank you.